live here. Okay. Hi, Dina.
Hi, Scott.
All right. I'm so glad that you're here because I've known you for such a long time. Started by, what was it, coaching your kids and being in the scouts with your kids and St. Mel and all that. And then I finally got to work with you. It was a couple years ago. And that was, honestly, that was an amazing experience for me because I got to see how you work also because I see the fun, the mom, us hanging out, but to see you like really, really buckle down, roll up your sleeves, and to see you the way you treated the estate that we worked on together, I was just blown away. And I loved your quick decision making, the fact that you listened to me, even though you didn't always agree. But I love the way that you embraced the process because at the end of it, I feel like I look back and I'm going, oh my gosh, that estate and pretty much everything went to charity, made hundreds of thousands of dollars more. And I know you like to give me credit, but I like to give you more of the credit because really you're the one that heard what we were saying, that had to make it work with the estate and all that. And so anyway, it's just so nice to be able to talk to you. It really is.
Yeah, good to be here, Scott. And yeah, I mean, of course, it was I think, all around a really successful project. And we spent quite a bit of money that it worked. I mean, look, it's seriously, and it did go to charities, and I think the work really paid off. They're quite happy with it. So
Nice, nice.
good.
Well, I remember, and this will be an interesting in my mind. In real estate hell, it's not about the hell, it's about the challenge. And when we bring our team in and we talk to you about what we're thinking we want you to do, and we say, okay, we had a vendor day, here's what we're thinking, it's going to be 100 or $125,000 to get you to the best net. And I think what you said was, what the F did you just say? You were so, what did he just say? It was hysterical to me. So you get presented with something like that. That's a big ask. What do you do?
Well, I mean, because I'm responsible to, it's not my money and it's not my estate, it's that of the beneficiary. So it was
Right.
very important that everything, I mean, I did challenge you an awful lot in everything you
Yeah.
said. I had to, I mean, both as, as a business person, you want to make sure that all your decisions make business sense. But in
Hmm.
addition, I mean, I'm in a fiduciary capacity, so I had to go through my own process of diligence to make sure that it did make sense. And um, I didn't necessarily have to, but to be a responsible professional, I did bring in a couple of the larger charities that into that decision making process. And I showed them, where we're starting from and then where we want to go and what the projections were. And it was guesstimates. I mean, everything, you came in and you're like, look, I think if we do this, this, and this, it'll be worthwhile financially. And I mean,
Right.
it turned out to be accurate, but that process was really just going through everything you suggested and um, making sure that number one, that I was on board, which I was, and then
Right.
secondly, bringing in the people who stood to lose or gain.
Right. Well, that's what I liked is that you asked all the right questions, and I was willing to go either way. I just knew that with the investment of time and money, I was just very confident. One of the questions you asked was, well, can you guarantee that we'll get this money back? And I'm pretty sure you know that the profanity I used when I said, not a chance I can guarantee anything. You know that. Come on, we're friends.
Are
Let's
you
stop this.
sure I used that word? I don't imagine I would have. I probably was looking for some assurances, but I don't know that I used the
Yeah.
word guarantee. Well, maybe I did. I
Well,
don't
we'll say this. Anyone who really knows you will know I'm telling the truth, and everyone who doesn't will believe you. So we'll be good. So another question for you. In the process, one of the things that was suggested was to do pre-inspections, which on an estate like this was not
Right.
just several hundred, it could be thousands of dollars. So
Yeah.
that's a big pill too. Why don't you talk about that?
So that was a really big deal, and that was one of the things when you contacted me about doing this. One of the things that I thought was a very serious commitment, and it was a big ask, which was the pre-inspection. And we discovered a couple of things that were just not great.
Yeah.
Like there was there was a pretty big plumbing situation
Right.
where the sewer connected to
The city.
the city sewer in the street. So
Hmm.
I mean, that was pretty expensive, but well worthwhile because we were able to go into the sale process with a clean slate, and we were able to bring in the receipts showing not only the camera scope that we did through the sewer system, but I brought in the receipts from having to reconfigure all that. Um, yeah, it's scary. I think it's always scary as a seller of a home to go through the process of opening up the doors and
Right.
basement and pipes and walls and attic and everything. It's a scary process to go
Yeah.
through. Um, but I mean, ultimately, coming out on the other end, I think it made a lot of sense. And frankly, I think it's kind of the right thing to do. The buyers were pretty happy with it, knowing
Yes.
that we were doing our best to give them the house that they thought they were buying, to make sure we
Hmm.
were delivering the goods that they expected and paid for. I think
100%.
that was it.
Yeah. Because it's weird. It's kind of like, are you opening up a can of worms?
Yeah,
And
which we
my
were.
contention
We
was,
did.
look, they're going to find out no matter what. If we tell them ahead of time and we tell them it's reflected in the price and we had 10 plus offers, then we're in a very good position at that point.
Yeah,
Which brings me to, so thank you for allowing that because that made a huge difference. So that brings me to a third point. You get into a situation where the buyer comes in, and they were lovely actually, but they did a load of inspections. The other agent, great agent as well, but they came to us and said, you know, what about this was wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And I said, well, show me something that's not on one of the reports. That's what I wanted to hear. And they couldn't. So I
okay.
come to you and say, look, DEANA La Barbera, here's the deal. They still want a little money. Yes, we're way above asking. It's a really great offer, great buyer. We're way. So, but they want money still. And I remember your response. You remember what you said?
I don't. What did I
You
say?
don't? Okay. You said,
There was profanity and it
I
wasn't there.
spent all, no, no profanity. I spent all this money, the estate spent all this money on all these reports. What are we paying for? Why would we pay them anything? And they said, well, why don't we just, they wanted just a token, like, good faith, just give them $5,000. And you just fought for the estate. And I said, look, I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think it feels like a renegotiation, even though I like these people a lot. And you decided, no, we're going to keep every penny for the estate because that's why we did it this way. So
Yeah, I definitely remember the conversation. I couldn't remember the conclusion. If you had told me I caved, I wouldn't have
you
been too
didn't,
surprised, except that I mean, the truth is, we spent a ton of money on, the termite stuff. There
right?
was some dry rot. I mean, like every house in Southern California that has wood on it, there's gonna be some dry rot or some termite, this and that, which we fixed in advance.
Right.
I spent a ton of money on that plumbing in advance.
Mm,
We had repairs to like windowsills and some
right.
of the eaves that needed repair. Like it was tens of thousands of dollars that we spent going into it. And so, to come back after the fact and say we don't like X, Y, and Z, well, yeah, I mean, at that point, if we hadn't spent all the time and money, um, and if I weren't so confident in our position because we did have multiple offers, I
Yes,
think I think those two things, and we did act in good faith. We were acting
absolutely.
earnestly, and everything we did, I think it was fair and reasonable. Um, if things had been different in the way that we went into the
Right.
sale process, I think that I probably would have agreed to some concessions, but we had already gone through all of it. And I
Absolutely.
think it made more
And
sense to
again,
do
that's one of the things I like so much about working with you is that you got the strategy. Right? When I think about the price we were going to go out at, because it had been appraised a couple of times, and then where I thought it was going to land, and then after the work was done, I walked through and you walked through, and I was going like, oh. I mean, the team did great. The team exceeded my expectations. They really
So
did.
let me say a couple of things about the team
Hmm.
and you. So we started the previous owner. Everything was turned over to me in July of 2020,
Hmm.
COVID, and people were still scared to death, still wearing masks, still hand sanitizer everywhere. So it was a very difficult time, and we one of the earliest times that I brought you in was when there was a big eucalyptus tree in the backyard and a tree branch, it was massive.
Hmm.
It fell and it just barely scraped the house next door. It destroyed a fence. It had an impact on some of their landscaping and the house next door. And I brought you in because we were going to have to do some work after that happened. And I thought, let me just bring Scott in to have a look so that, when I make decisions on cleaning that up, helping the guy next door, fixing,
Hmm.
repairing the fence and everything, I wanted to make sure that those decisions were going to be good long-term decisions, not just a quick
Right.
fix band-aid. And that's when I was really pleased that you were very responsive. You came out very quickly, looked everything over. We discussed sort of my plan of attack. You suggested some other things that I thought were good ideas, and we moved forward. So it was a good collaborative process, and that was maybe 8 to 10 months before I was
Right.
even ready to list the thing for sale. So having you in that early in the process, I thought was very beneficial. You brought in your ideas, your experience, but also your team,
Yeah.
and your cell phone, your contacts,
Yeah.
and I
A lot of
think
them.
I think that having the team in that early, so that I didn't, 6 or 8 months later, I wouldn't look back and you say, I wish you had brought me in earlier because I would have suggested this, doing
Exactly.
it differently. So I was very pleased with how things worked, even that far in advance of being able to list the property for sale. And your team was amazing. I mean, you brought Pam in. I don't know if I'm allowed to use names,
You can
but
use,
Pam
sure. Yeah, she was amazing.
was off the charts amazing. Like she
Right.
was spectacular from the get-go. And that was a problem for you because we turned into a force, and I think it was just for fun.
No, you guys are great. I have ideas, but the beautiful thing about surrounding yourself with great people is, especially when they're as creative and as smart as the
Yeah,
people that I've
yeah,
surrounded myself with,
yeah,
they expand and they improve on my ideas, and they're so much better at what they do. That's the truth. I mean, I'd love to think I could do all that. I'm not. I'm an idea guy, and then I need the right team to
right.
implement. And boy, they were great, and you jumped right on board.
Oh
Man, some of
yeah,
those pictures that were taken in there after it was all done, I was like, I can't. This is not the same house. It was
yeah.
beautiful.
It
Yeah.
really was. But also, I mean, one of the things that was important to me in my position, because the woman who owned the house began as a client and
Hmm.
then over time became a friend. And it was
Right.
important to me to respect the origin of it and to respect where she came from. And
Hmm.
that was something that I had spent some time talking to Pam about
Right.
was, yeah, we're going to make improvements and we're going to straighten this up or that or change this or that,
Hmm.
but to give some, um, I don't know, deference to
Hmm.
the owner to make sure that her life and lifestyle was not overlooked, and
Right.
your whole team was respectful of that. Um,
Yeah. Well, you
and
were you were great. I work. I've done a lot of estates. This is one of my favorites because of how you handle it. Plus, let's face it, we had fun while doing it.
we
We just
totally
had
did.
fun, and but we were what we did. We gave such respect to the estate, and I really appreciated that. And at the end, when everything came together, and I saw what the net was, and I knew a lot of the places the money was going to go. I was like, oh, this is one of my favorites. This is just one of my favorites because I think we just honored her. We honored your
Yeah,
friend, and it
yeah,
just, and it's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's and some of those. the gift was to the LA Philharmonic and the LA Opera were the big ones, and they're honoring her, and they're
Mhm.
continuing to use that money, the extra money that we were able to put together based on those improvements. And in fact, one of the shows I'm going to go to at the Phil is the beginning of April,
Mhm.
and it's so nice to see that continue to live on.
I love it.
Mhm.
All right, so those are the things I wanted to talk about. Is there any other story you want to share, or where are you at?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Anything juicy you want to share?
you you said that we met each other through school, which is true, and the kids that are going to school together. But truly, I gotta give a shout out to your wife, who
Yes.
and this is really one of the reasons, like not one, this was the main reason I called you in the first place to have you
Uh-huh.
bid out. And it's part of my job. I have to talk to different
Right.
real estate agents, and but you're one of several that I talk to, and the reason is because when my son, who's now 14, was
Mm-hmm.
3 years old, he fractured his femur and he was in a body cast. And I had a 3 year old, and my daughter was 7, and it was truly a miserable summer. He broke his leg. It was July 9th of 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a heat wave,
Mm-hmm.
and our air conditioning went out, and my
That's
son
right.
is stuck in this body cast, and it's like 119 degrees
Mm-hmm.
outside, and we have no air conditioner, and I just wanted to cry. There was nothing I could do. And I was going to go buy a room air conditioner, and the one I was going to get was like, I don't know, $800 or something. And I thought, before I do that, because I'm only going to use this thing for a couple of weeks, I'm going to put it out on Facebook and see if any friends are willing
Right.
to. And your wife
Mm-hmm.
responded within 30 minutes. Was like,
Right.
I've got it. But not only that, she said, I've got one. It's, it's about 30 minutes away. I'm going to go pick it up, deliver it to my house, help
Yes.
me set it up. And
That's
then when I
her.
was done, I called her. I'm like, hey, I'm done. What can I do to deliver it? Like I can have my dad or somebody.
Mm-hmm.
No, she came back and picked it up. And I cried because it was such a horrible summer. Anyway, I thought,
Yeah.
okay, let me pay back this family, bring Scott in, let
Mm-hmm.
him give his thoughts on what we're doing. And it was, other realtors were terrific, but you stood out. You
Oh,
really
thank you.
stood out because you shared with
And I
me.
married right.
Pardon me?
And I married
And
right.
you married very well. Anybody that could get such an amazing woman to marry him, you must be
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes. That's
So shout out to both of you. But really in a competitive bidding, because I am a fiduciary and I have to look at things from that perspective. So I had to interview several, and it's from the get-go. I just knew you were a different kind of guy because you were coming in with the intention of making this an easy, seamless transaction,
right.
and to make the most of it. You made it so easy on me, knowing how busy I was with everything that was going on,
Sure.
and you made it an easy transaction, and we made about, I think, net about an extra. Am I allowed to use numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah, we made an extra 600,000 after, but really, it would have been more than, I mean,
600,000.
we
All
spent
to
close,
charity.
like all in, we spent close to 200 with
Mm-hmm.
the improvement, but we brought in an extra over 800 with the ultimate sale. So we netted a little over 600 really. And it was that first vision from the first day we met.
Right.
Um, and in the conversations of what we could do to make it more
Mm-hmm.
um, sellable.
Right.
And you were right. And I could tell from the first meeting that you were going to approach this differently than just some guy coming in, throwing a sign in the front yard and marketing. You had like this holistic approach to it, and I was
I
very impressed.
appreciate that. I appreciate that because
So,
it means a lot to me to go the extra mile and actually really go for the team for us to act as a fiduciary as well to you and to the estate. And so that's what we do, because we knew it was going to take an extra several weeks, maybe even months. And we understood that, most people just want to get the deal done. To us, we knew that wasn't the right way. So thank you for letting me be a partner with you in this.
Yeah, thank you for making it work beautifully.
Wow. Geez. Can I interview you next week too?
Yeah, well, maybe. Show your wife the video so that she gets the shout out, man.
I know she's gonna love that. Wait till she sees this one. No, it's so nice though, because that's the way she is. She just goes out of her way for everybody, and then doesn't talk about it or anything. So for someone like you to say, "Hey, by the way," I thought that was just very sweet.
She's
Yeah.
a pretty incredible lady.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for you.
Okay, Scott.
We'll have to. At some point we'll have to do a part two, and we'll hear some more stories from you.
Right? I can't wait to have another listing. You'll be my first call. You'll be my
Thank
first
you
call.
so much.